Ahipara. This is where we are in Ahipara. We're at the beginning, the southern side of Te Oneroa Tohe, 90 Mile Beach. We're just down below our maunga whangatau tia. In the background there is Te Kohanga and Te Anganga. I suppose what a lot of the whānau heard was that there was hui up at Roma Marae, and the kaupapa was about the closing of Taurua, and I think that was the main reason why I actually thought I should go up there to that hui. A lot of the other whānau that turned up there, it was a good hui. It was a good number there of locals that had the same concerns about what was going to be happening up at Roma over that hui. When we got there and we went through all the formalities on the marae, the take was brought up about the closure of Taurua, and it wasn't just specific areas, it was the whole area. And I suppose they got everybody's juices going, especially the whānau that rely on Taurua as a food source, as sustenance for their whānau, as it has done in the past with our grandparents and parents alike. Taurua has always been hugely significant to the whānau and Ahipara whānau and hapu. A lot of the whānau did not agree with it, and at the time we couldn't come up with a solution about the resources that are in Taurua. But the main kaupapa on the table was about the power and how they were going to how we could sustain the take from the amount of whānau that coming back from overseas, and the local whānau here in Ahipara. It was obvious that it couldn't sustain itself. And at that hui, there were a lot of concerns. People thought, oh yeah, it won't hurt to close it for so long and rahui the whole area. But for the likes of ourselves, myself as well, because my whānau spend a lot of time around there, what came of that hui was that from that hui, a group, and they weren't selected, the decision was to form a group, a Kaitiaki group, to form a committee to strategize ways and means of I suppose enhancing the power around Taurua, finding ways of looking after and managing the resources that were in Taurua, to avoid actually having to close the whole area and pretty much closing the cupboard on most whānau in Ahipara, or closing the kai source that's always been there. And it was quite obvious that it is needed, and over the years since that we have finally realised that there is a huge need for us to strategise ways of looking after the kai moana. Although the kaupapa was on power, but looking after one species, it actually it involves a lot of other species as well. The main part of our committee and our main focus is to try and get a balance between the resources that we have here, because without that, if an imbalance forms by what we're doing, we have to try and find a way of bringing back that balance as well. And that not only happens with our resources that are here, that happens with the people as well. In our community, if we don't have that balance amongst ourselves, and then not even talking about us as Māori, but with our Pākehā brothers as well that live in Ahipara community, we have to find a balance with them as well. It's not just ourselves, because our Pākehā whānau around here also, they rely on the coastline here as well. So in saying that, the committee's gone aside, and we've formed the rahui around there. The rahui is only a small area. It was specifically chosen for the area and for the kaimona that used to come out of there. From monitoring dives that we've had in the rahui area, it's really shown good numbers. Not only in paua, kina, crayfish and fish are more plentiful within that area. And and in saying that too, in the Pākehā size, it is a reserve, and studies have always shown that reserves are more beneficial to stocks and the life within that reserve, that it shows a lot more benefit to the area and also outside. I know the boundaries of the rahui have shown a lot of numbers. The committees, I suppose, is formed of a lot of whānau that want to see a change around the coast, want to see a change in the paua situation out here. There's a lot of other things that we're doing with I suppose through the Komiti Taku Taimona that was formed, which is the name that we brought up. Every 5 years that we have another huia hapu, and we put recommendations forward, and then it's up to the whānau and hapu at their hui whether we move forward with those recommendations or we wipe them. We've got issues with council and wastewater treatment that's coming about. The Ahipara is not getting any smaller. And now we're faced with issues of wastewater treatment coming out of our awa down here in Ahipara, and I sent a submission in opposing the application. But that's still on the cards as well, because getting wastewater treatment or water flow coming onto our beach, that's gonna cause a lot of problems in the future, and not only for our coastline, but for our river as well. A lot of the kids still swim in the river. But at the end of the day, the councils they've got their processes going, and we're still fighting those issues to retain and maintain what we've got on our coastline. Ahipara here is it would be one of the cleanest coastlines in New Zealand, I would say. We've got no main outlets. The main outlets from harbours and whatnot are many miles away from us. The closest one would be Ōwhata Harbour, which is south of us, in the Hokianga Harbour, that have waterways coming out into the sea. But up here along 90 Mile Beach here, we're still quite isolated from those, and probably the reason why we've still got a lot of kaimona along our shorelines, and we also have issues with big boats coming into Ahipara, trawlers, seiners. In the past they've come in here and taken and never given back, I suppose you could look at. Myself as a commercial fisherman, in my family, we're a family of fishermen, and we've always lived off the sea. And I think it's just following in the footsteps of that. I think the pathway's already been laid by our grandparents, and those are the pathways that I see that are helping me and kind of guiding me and following the footsteps of my grandfather, especially with our coastline and the mahi that he done way back in the day. To maintain the ownership of our coastline. But today, our Komiti Taku Taimonas, we're going to make an application for a rohe moana, which will allow us as iwi, I suppose, whānau hapu to manage our own resources within our own area. And that's a big thing for us, I think, is that if we can do that and manage it, and get the right management teams going, it'll be hugely beneficial. I mean, we've got the new beach board that's coming up, the management group for Te Oneroa Tohe. That beach group is going to be formed of local iwi as well as council, I think. And I suppose from the Komiti Taku Taimoana's perspective, I could see clashes there. Regarding, I mean, we're always going to have issues with tourist buses and whatnot going up and down the beach, and even locals. I mean, we've been doing it for so many years. People are saying, well, why do we need to change now? But those are the things, and again, that comes back to balance. Again, we need to try and balance and find out where we can get that balance. A lot of that balance comes with education. Our rāhui kaupapa around here, that's what we're hoping that this is going to educate our rangatahi for the future to keep thinking in that mind, to keep maintaining the resources that we've got here. That's one of the main things that I think that we need to keep handing down to our tamariki, our rangatahi, to try and stay in that whakaaro that if we don't keep looking after, if we don't stand strong as Kaitiaki, there's an easy chance of actually losing what we have within our areas. And I know, I suppose my own kids, always drumming into them the names of these places, and when you really think about it, the names actually tell the story. They've been named things because they hold that name because of the areas that they are. Te kohanga over here behind us here was named Te kohanga because it was a kohanga for the people. But I mean, I suppose that's our job when we stay home. That's part of our mahi is being ahika and looking after not only the land, the resources, everything, and pretty much that's what we're doing here. And I think all of us on our Komiti Taku Taimoana, we all have our different skills in different areas, and I think we're a good committee. We've got an open door policy. We're always trying to get other whānau or whoever to come in who may not agree with what the committee comes up with. But that's what we need. We need whānau to come in and talk to us or put their things on the table, their whakaaro on the table, so we can allow for that, so we can understand where they're coming from too, and then we can work a way around it, and again get that balance between ourselves. With other whānau. But we're constantly trying to get other whānau to come. We're only a small group, but we can only do what we're asked, and it's a thankless job. But again, that's our job, that's our ahika, we're ahika, so we have to do it. But yeah, just following the footsteps that are already laid down and keep following.